Hey, what's up, filmmakers? Welcome back to another late night stream. Thank you to all you that are joining us tonight. It's going to be a really good live stream tonight. This is different than the normal ones. We have an extra special guest tonight I'm super excited to talk with, and his name is Tommy Callaway. So this guy is the lighting master on YouTube. He knows the ins and outs of all the gear, all the stuff that you need. So I'm really excited to have him as a co-host tonight on the live stream. And we're going to have a lot of good time. How you doing tonight, Tommy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's always fun to see your videos and just really good stuff. Super cool lighting. Your set looks awesome tonight. I love just that little, like, I don't know, pinkish red light behind you. They got another light just illuminating everything. It looks super cool. So it's like almost like a little sci-fi set or something. Really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I usually try to have a different lighting setup for every time I do any kind of live stream activity.
I like that. So you don't really stick to like the same thing every time. You kind of try and switch it up and be creative like every time.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing of my Wednesday night streams. Getting lit. I'll have a glass of whiskey and have a different lighting setup. We'll talk about the lights the first 5 minutes and how the lighting was achieved, and then go into whatever the subject was. But same thing for your stream. If I'm a guest, I got to talk about the lights.
Yep. Yep. That's cool. That's really cool. So yeah, I mean, I've caught a couple of them, but I didn't realize, you're changing it up every time. I'm the kind of like, I don't know, not lazy, but the type that I'm like, okay, I'm going to set it up once, get it how I like it, and then every time just like switch on the lights. But I did switch it up a little bit tonight. So, man, well, good introductions. I know everyone's kind of still streaming into the live stream tonight, but basically what I want to chat with you about is kind of the faux pas, right? That the nicer the camera, the more money you spend, it's going to improve your cinematography and make you that much better. And I think we all kind of get stuck in that mindset. I've personally been there. I've talked about this in the past on the channel, and I know I've heard you kind of talk about this and obviously tweet about it a lot. I love your tweet that's like, hey, new camera released, buy lights, and it's very true. So let's chat about that for a minute. Like, what cameras are you shooting on currently right now? Because I'm not totally aware. What are some of your main cameras that you're shooting on right now, and what's the resolution that you usually shoot at?
Well, I've got the latest greatest potato over here. This is the Sony A7S III
Nice.
That we're looking at right now.
That's sick. It looks great.
Yeah, check out this autofocus.
Wow.
Did it focus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. It's like pinned onto my eyeballs. Okay,
Yeah.
So
That's
we
impressive.
got that one. And then over here, this angle is the GH5.
All right.
And then this
Good.
angle is the XT3.
I like that.
So for the past couple of years, I've been filming on the GH5.
Okay.
And it's been my main camera. I've had it since pre-order, and the only time I've switched to a new primary camera was once the A7S III arrived. And I've filmed in 8-bit, 420, 4K for the entire time.
Okay.
I've never tried the 10-bit or RAW what you can get with the Atomos, even though I have the Atomos Ninja V. I never used it because I didn't want to deal with like not having or not using the SD cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I finally caved and got DaVinci Resolve so I could actually try and get the value out of the A7S III with like the raw footage and all the log profiles and things. And I'm trying to level up my own knowledge of why is a camera valuable, because obviously they have these things for a reason.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have lights, right? If I had a budget to buy a camera or lights and I already had a GH5, I would spend that money on lights. But I think I have more lights than most professional gaffers and filmmakers. So
That's impressive.
I went with the A7S III over here for that one.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's super impressive. And I was just thinking, like, you were shooting on the GH5 for a long time. That was working great for you, and obviously your stuff was looking good all that time. And it's because of your knowledge of lighting, right? If you lit it
never
right,
no 10-bit footage, no raw, just just a picture profile, Cine like D, with a little bit of contrast, and then just lights.
Yep, that's sick. I know Caleb Pike, DSLR shooter, did a lot on the GH4 and the GH5. So I haven't personally shot on it myself, but I know like there are some huge fans of it. So that's That's really cool. And man, the A7S III, I haven't gotten my hands on it yet, but the image looks good. I love.
It looks great. So this is the picture profile one.
Okay.
By the way, picture profiles are just like containers. They're just folders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by default, it has movie as the profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I followed some settings that I watched Gerald and Dunn's hour-and-a-half long master classes on how to use the camera just so I could set it up properly.
Yep.
Which, by the way, if you're going to get the Sony A7S III, know that you have to spend some time learning how to use this thing.
Really?
Yeah, the GH5, super easy. Nikon Z6, super easy. Fuji X-T3, boom, super easy. A7S III, you got to study.
Wow. Have you used the alpha cameras in the past? Like, did you use the A7S II or
No.
A7S or any of those?
No, never.
Okay, gotcha. I was gonna say because, yeah. So my my first full frame camera was a Sony A7S Mark I, and then I've shot a lot on the A7S II, and then right now I'm like shooting on the Sony A6500. So the Sony cameras I'm super familiar with. Same with like Sony FS5, FS7, all those. So
cameras are cool, but what lighting are you using tonight? And then I'll go over mine.
yes, let's do it. I know we always go down the camera rabbit hole, and I'm trying to stay with lighting. So lighting that I'm using tonight, basic, right here out of the frame for my key light is a Falconized. This is the D&O lighting. It's an LED light panel. It's just bicolor. I've got it set to 3200 Kelvin. I personally like to shoot subjects with a warm lighting and then go with the background lights in more of a cool daylight balance. So this is set to tungsten, softbox with a crate, kind of like you got in the background there with the crate. And then let's see, a couple other lights. I have a hair light that's in the background up here, and that's the Falconized RGB. Is just set to daylight balance. And then in the background, I have two RGB tube lights lighting it up. One of them's set to like a blue, and one of them's kind of a cyan over there in the corner. And then putting a little slash on the background there is the Aperture LS Mini 20D. So everything's ceiling mounted.
Pretty good.
So I know we were kind of joking about lighting things, hanging them on the ceiling and stands and everything like that in the past. So I'm like kind of a freak about it. I don't want to see anything in the background, so they're all just kind of floating on bars here. So that's what I'm rocking today.
That's a legitimate setup there. You got like the trusses basically up in the roof.
Exactly. Yeah, I tried to go with something that like would be versatile, allowed me to just move the lights wherever I want, but like never set up a stand. So
yeah, I have a lot of wall mounted stuff. So actually, what I did tonight is actually kind of a troll on you.
Okay.
So I was watching your live stream, your recent one, and you said that pocket lights are useless.
Okay, where's it at?
And then you reinforced that later. You said they're useless. Like they're okay, but they're useless.
Yeah.
And so tonight I'm entirely lit by pocket lights.
No, you're not.
Yeah. So check it out. So there's only one light that isn't a pocket light.
Okay.
And that is the Aperture Nova behind me, right?
Okay.
It's the one doing the pink.
Yes.
All it is there. It's just for like set dressing, right? It just looks okay behind me.
Just a little practical.
But so over here, we've got a Nanlite tube pocket light, $80.
Oh
up here,
my gosh.
my hair light is the Aperture MC. See?
Okay.
Here's what the hair light's doing.
Those are magnetized to a C stand?
Yep, it's just magnetized.
Okay.
And then I have the Lupo pocket light over here.
Oh, geez.
Which is doing my shoulder light. So watch, let me show you what these are doing, right? Because it's important. Each one has a very important role.
Yeah.
So this one lights this shoulder and carves it out of the background.
See that?
Right? So it makes it a subtle difference, but it's important. There it goes.
Yeah.
And then the hair light, that's a super important one.
Yep. Makes a huge difference.
Yep. And then over here, this is my key light. This little guy right here. Let's just turn this off. Boom.
Which one's that? Was that the Pavo tube? Or...
This is the Nanlite Pavo tube 2C or 6.2.
Okay, that's a 2 foot.
No. 6 inches.
Oh, 6 inches. Okay.
They're all pocket lights.
Okay. Wow. Well, the lighting looks.
I'll turn this thing back on.
Yeah. Get it up and going. It looks pretty good. That's pretty fun.
And then there's more pocket lights.
Okay. What else do you...
So then over that red behind me over there for this camera angle.
Yeah.
That is one of these Pilot Fly pocket lights, one of these guys.
Okay. I've seen those.
That's lighting the whole wall up there over there, and it's only at like 3% power.
Wow.
And this one, the blue, is that's one of the Nanlite pocket lights over there.
Oh my
One of
gosh.
these. Oh yeah. So that's one of those, and the second one is doing that yellow behind the monitor here is another one of those pocket lights.
Oh jeez.
So pocket lights are very valuable if you are lighting your scene with intention and you aren't going to be lazily splashing light everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can use pocket lights to enhance your depth because of the inverse square law. A light, is more intense the closer it is to you, and it falls off very quickly. So if you use that in mind with when you're using a pocket light, if you mount them as close as you can to your subject, you can get really defined, contrasty lighting, like I am for my key and hair lights over here. They make great hair lights
Yeah.
because when you have them dimly lit right next to your hair, it's going to really enhance the hairline and the hair light there, but it's not going to splash light everywhere else because it falls off so quickly.
Hmm.
So, and all these other little splashes of color that I have, I mean, they take time to use and you have to charge them unless you have them plugged into something, but they're really valuable, especially if you have a bunch of the Aperture ones with the Sidus Link app that you can do animations with.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of to come back and be like, pocket lights have a use case. They're valuable. You
Yeah.
just have to know how to use them.
Yeah, I would say checkmate. You definitely did an incredible job lighting it with just pocket lights. I'm impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
Thanks.
Man, just like troll of the day. That's
Thanks. Well, I mean, I have all the other lights. I have Aperture, the
yeah.
120Ds, and the Nova. I've got, 6 other panels that are 1x1s and 2x1s, but you don't need them, right?
No.
If you know how to light the scene, and it's, if we were outdoors in sunlight, that's a different scenario. But
Yeah.
when someone says, "What's the best light to buy?" It's like, well, what are you going to use it for?
Yeah. Man, they look good. I stand corrected. I think I will redact my last statement from the last live stream. Pocket lights have a use case, and I mean clearly I can look at your image. It looks fantastic. So
Thank
that's
you.
impressive. That's really
Thanks.
impressive.
That's why I had the other camera angles because I wanted to point out different pocket lights that I was using.
That is funny. That is funny. I didn't even notice like when you were switching angles. Like I didn't realize, and now I
Yeah.
see the magic behind the scenes. That's pretty cool. Wow. Well,
Thank you.
very impressive. I love looking at how everyone lights things differently and what kind of lighting tools they use, because if you are creative and intentional with it, you can make really great looking stuff, especially on a budget. I mean, off the top of your head, how much do you think all those lights combined cost about roughly? Any idea? I know, like
The ones that I'm currently using?
yeah, all the little pocket lights. How much do you think that was? Just like a rough estimate.
Let's see. So the Aperture MC, which is my hair light right now. This one, because I got the Aperture app open.
Mm-hmm.
That one's like $80, right?
Okay.
And then
not bad.
the little ones that's doing the monitor yellow, and then the blue side light over here, which is these little guys. Those are also roughly $80 a piece. So that's 2 of them. And then the one doing the red over there, the red splash on the wall, that one's a little bit more expensive. It's the Pilot Fly. It's like $150.
Okay. Not too bad.
The Pavo Tube, another 89, like maybe 80, $90. They're all under $100.
Yeah.
I think the more expensive one would be the Lupo Smart Panel. How much are the Lupo Smart Panels?
So it sounds like maybe like $300 or $400 total. I couldn't say exactly, but adding up, and you're using a ton. Like obviously you're using more than most
Yeah,
people.
the Smart
would
Panel
use.
here, it says it's $159. And then of course the Aperture Nova, that's $1,700.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
which I'm not even using to light me.
No.
I mean, if I just turn it off, it doesn't even make a difference. Other than it's not, you can't see it anymore.
yeah, just a practical, just a fun light in the background, little set dressing.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. I think that like stands as a testament to those of you guys watching, that you can make a really great looking image with pretty affordable lights, like $50 to $80. Get a couple of them. You have hair light, key light, little background light. Yeah, that thing gets bright. And yeah, you're barely got it on, I'm sure, like 1 or 2%.
1%.
So
It's 1%, just so you can see it.
yeah, that's sick. Yeah, well, very cool. I love seeing that. And I'm gonna let's see what's going on in the chat. Just say hello to a couple people down here. So, Family of Tech, what's up, dude? Great to see you back in the live streams. It's always fun to see you here. Um, Leonard says, is it bad that I'm still using the OG Blackmagic? No, it's a good camera. I think, again, just like we're talking about today, the lighting and everything like that can make all the difference. So I don't think it's all about the camera. Looks like Tommy, you already answered the question the Nerdster had about the Pavo tubes. Looks like they're really nice.
I like them. Great build quality.
Yeah, I haven't used them yet, so it looks like
Yeah.
really powerful.
Yeah, hey, I had it safety rigged up there.
Okay. Does that one have a magnet on it too, or is it you just kind of had it wrapped around or something?
Yeah, it has magnets too, but I had it rigged up there for safety, but then like I screwed that up. Hang on.
No worries. Yeah, I love all those. I love that all the little lights like that are magnetic because it can become really useful when you can just like click it somewhere, especially when everything's metal with C stands and light stands. So super cool.
They're all super durable, most of them.
Yeah. Nils Codes, what's up, dude? He says he loves his 4K Aperture MCs, but you got to spend more time setting it up. Usually no popping it up and done like a big softbox. Okay, so yeah, he's got a couple of them, really likes them, but it says it takes a little bit more time to just kind of finesse it. And like you said, you get them close, get them out of the shot, and they're powerful enough to be a full light there. So Glenn Reed, what's up, dude? It's good to have you back in the live stream. It's always fun having you here. Spandan the Beats. Hey, seems like a lot of the same guys are here, and I love seeing the repeats. So it's really cool. Salo, what's up? Let's see what else is going on down here. Glenn Reed says, I've got to do a review on the Falcon Eyes F7 Mini. It's cool, affordable light. Yeah, man, I'd love to see that. I haven't checked that one out yet, but Falcon Eyes makes really cool lights. So very cool. Well, so we've talked about both of our setups. We've talked a little bit about the cameras that we're shooting on. Something that I think is just kind of funny, and it moves right into this, but it's basically like, no matter how good your camera is, the resolution, whether it's 4K, 6K, 8K, now 12K, right? It's still going to be capturing the same crappy lighting, or however your scene is, whether you've done a good job or aren't using any lighting at all. It's just going to capture that in the highest resolution possible. And I think that's where a lot of guys get caught up and just like, hey, I'm going to buy the next thing. I'm going to save up. But I've found so many times with like affordable cameras that you can make something look so beautiful. Just like you were saying, Tommy, like you've been shooting on the GH5 for a long time, which is not a cheap camera, but it's also not really expensive, but you've been lighting it really well. What do you think about I guess if you have any commentary on that, spending money on the camera versus, thinking just, hey, maybe investing a little more in the lighting? What would your advice or something around
So this is something I've been kind of talking about in the last several streams and videos I've done is, a lot of people say, how much money should you spend on lights? And it was actually the title of my previous stream.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's basically, I've been telling people you should be spending as much on your lighting setup, and that includes lights, stands, power, modifiers, and whatever, as you are on your camera setup. And that's camera, lens, tripod, right?
Yeah.
Media, batteries. So you should be spending the same amount on your lighting setup as you are on your camera setup if you want to extract as much value out of your camera as you can before you decide, what's next.
Dang. Yeah, I think that's a good way to judge it. And that's actually like a pretty large budget too, because I think if I were to add up all my cameras, lenses, tripods, sliders, gimbals, things like that, it's a lot, like a lot. And I think even for most guys, if let's say the camera's $2,000 and you got a tripod for like maybe $300, a slider, this, that, you're probably at least at $4,000. Let's just say like all in on a couple things. Like that's being, I think that's being pretty reserved, but let's say $4,000 alone just spent on lighting it's a pretty good budget. Like you're going to have a lot of good lights, C-stands, flags. Like you could buy a lot of really nice equipment for say $3,000 to $4,000. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Or you can get an Aperture Nova, a 300X, a couple batteries, a couple stands.
Yeah, that's true. Those are, the 300X looks sick.
Yeah, but like it's, what do you need? Like if you buy a Fuji, X-T4 and a lens, what are you filming? Do you need, a crazy amount of lights? Are you there yet? Like, are you prepared to try and extract the most out of that camera yet. Do you need these crazy huge lights? Can you get by with smaller lights? It's just like trying to stay within the budget. You don't need to buy the most expensive lights. There's lights that do a really good job for smaller budget, like Godox lights, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Aperture did to the filmmaking lighting industry. They cut the price down and made it affordable and kept all the features and stuff. But then there was the market of like abandoned filmmakers that independent filmmakers that couldn't afford Aperture stuff.
Yes.
So that's the market that Godox is serving.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think there's a lot to be said about that. So Aperture, I totally have to agree. Really high quality stuff, really good like price compared to like the big dogs, like when you're talking about an Aries Sky panel or something, or just some of the higher end ones, they're just way too expensive. But yeah, for some people, Aperture is still pretty expensive. I mean, depending on what you're getting, if it's the Aperture 300D, it's like $1,200 for the Mark II. So yeah, it can be up there. And I think there's a lot of really good quality stuff coming in from, I don't know if I'd call them like third-party companies, or like a lot of stuff coming out of China. I don't know how to say that right, but like Godox,
that's where everything's made.
Exactly, everything's made in China. But some of the headquarters, I guess, Aperture's here in California, where you're at. So.
I guess it's where the customer service is that makes the biggest difference these days.
Yeah, a lot of times it is. So yeah, I mean, so on that topic, what lights, like I guess what brands or lights would you recommend for someone that's just starting out, or maybe has one light, or maybe they have like the cheap like fluorescent light ones you get like in a softbox kit from Amazon, like those 3 softbox kits with fluorescents. When I was first starting out, I had no clue what I was doing, right? And so I was like, I need some lights. I bought those. I think it was like $150 or something for a set of 3. Man, those went in the trash like years ago. But what are some you would recommend for someone that's on a
let's set a budget. Let's set a budget. So suppose someone gets a fairly modern camera with at least a 24-70 type lens, right?
Yeah. That's a good all around.
Let's just say it's the GH5, the camera that I was on.
Yeah.
Right. GH5 with a Sigma 18-35, Viltrox adapter, budget one, not the expensive one, because that's what I used. Tripod, couple cards. Let's see, we're looking at, let's say $2,000. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I would say pretty much I've been recommending everyone take a look at Lupo's lights.
Okay.
There's a particular light that they have, and I actually pulled it out for this stream. Just give me a second here. Yeah. Grab it.
Yeah, let's check it out.
We've got the battery. Okay. And the diffuser, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, let's check it out. While you're getting that set up, I'm gonna reply to a couple of the comments here. Neil Code says your 8K video is also going to be watched at full HD. I couldn't agree more. I love that. I laugh about that because we watch all of these videos on our smartphones, and usually it's streaming, so it's in 720p, maybe 1080p if you're lucky. So yeah, I mean, everything's always down-resed, so that's pretty fun.
All right, so this is the action panel, full color.
Okay.
And it's a light by Lupo. Lupo makes professional lights, and it comes with like this V-mount plate and also AC power, right?
I love that.
And it's the same interface as their more expensive super professional panels.
Wow.
And it's a beast, right?
I like that. That's pretty cool. So it's a full RGB bicolor.
RGB WW light. It's got the lenses, so it casts the light out really far. But then it also comes with like this, what seems like a pretty cheap plastic diffuser, and it's really kind of a pain in the ass to put on.
Yeah.
But you go ahead and do your comments. I'm going to put this thing on.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
You get that thing put together. That looks really cool, though. What's the size of that? The dimensions? Is that like a 1x1 or just a little smaller than a 1x1?
It's like a half a 1x1. It's like a 6.5, like a 6x6, like half by half.
Yeah, yeah. Lupo, are they the ones that make the lights that like combine together? Like you can stack one on top of another and like make a 6, like a 2x3. Is that the Lupo light?
No, I don't think that's Lupo. Like that. They do make other high end ones. They make the big like 2x1 table panel light that I have always in my studio.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't have the little screw that's in the backpack right now, but so when you put the diffuser on, it turns into like this box thing.
It almost looks like a flash, like on a cam, like on top of a camera when they put that little flash guard thing on there.
Kind of, yeah. But it looks really cool, and it works as a like more than a 180 diffuser. It's like a three, almost like a 290-degree diffuser,
Yeah.
right? So it's pointing the other direction, but I'm still getting purple on me,
Yeah.
and it works really, really well for that. And it's a $700 light,
It's not bad.
um, so it's expensive, but I mean it's not super expensive compared to some of the other lights that are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's small. It comes with a backpack and a nice little diffuser that works really, really well. And you can power with V-mount or AC. So if you have V-mount batteries or you want to invest in V-mount batteries, you can start using them
Yeah.
with something like this. Like this is such a solid piece of kit.
That's sick.
Everyone should have, like, if you want your first RGB WW like pro panel, I always recommend this one. And everyone that I've recommended it to and wanted, like, went and got one, freaking loves it.
That's really cool. I like that. And it looks like it's super versatile. Like I could easily see that being used as a key light. It's obviously super bright, but also easily all different kinds of things, accent light, background lights, hair lights, just because it's so versatile in its size.
You can throw the diffuser on, stick it straight up, point it at the ceiling, and your whole room, you can turn the whole thing like blue or something or whatever.
That's really cool. What's the build quality? Is it, I can't tell, is it all plastic or is there any metal around the outside? What's the body of that like?
So all of Lupo's lights are made of like this carbon fiber reinforced plastic. It's called like a technopolymer, I suppose.
Okay.
I looked it up. So they're super lightweight. For instance, they're 1x1 panels, the full color 30s, which cost about the same as the Aperture Nova, weigh like 9 pounds, when the Nova weighs like 25 pounds.
Dang.
So it's made to be like the lightweight light that if you're going to rig it over talent, then you're not worried about like decapitating everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if it falls.
Yeah. And I mean, if you do have a really heavy like light like that, like the Aperture Nova, you have to have really professional rigging equipment. You can't rig that out overhead with a basic C-stand. It's going to fall
you need
over.
like a menace arm,
Exactly.
or like professional trussing and safety chains.
Yeah.
And also just carrying the lights around from place to place. The Nova's heavy.
Yeah.
That's where like really lightweight lights, you start to see the value in those. I've only really helped on a couple of projects where I had to bring the lights in, because usually I just create in my little studio space.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, that made me not want to be a professional gaffer.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work.
Yep.
Bringing C-stands and lights and batteries and power. There's so much stuff to carry.
Yes. Yep.
And then you see the the director or whoever that was the producer just come in with like a little camera bag.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They come in light. No, I totally
wearing
get
a
that.
backpack.
Yeah, working in a studio full time. A lot of times we travel and we have to bring stuff with us, and we have sky panels. We have like 5 of the sky panels S30s, and then 5 or 6 of the S60s, which are double the size, twice the weight. I mean, you're talking about like a 50, 60 pound light. It's brutal to move all those, move all the C-stands. So not a lot of fun to set up. So that Lupo light looks really cool. $700, not a bad price. I think for RGB, something that looks like it's really high quality and a good size.
Mm-hmm. So that's one. So we were trying to go to what, $2,000 of lights, right?
Yeah. I'd say about $2,000. Drop, if you can, or at the end of this, try and drop the name or a link or something to that light down in the chat so everyone can check it out, because that's pretty cool if you got a link to it. So
there we go. I'm not gonna snipe on your affiliate revenue. Everybody, give this stream a thumbs up. There's if you haven't already, and then click his affiliate links if you want to buy it. It's his stream.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the thing. I don't derive financial livelihood from YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm not, when I review something, it's not like I'm trying to sell it super hard or anything.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect me. Like, it's just whatever money the channel makes, it just goes directly back into the channel.
Yep. Buying more gear to make it better.
It's a self-funding hobby.
Yep.
It's nice when it makes more money, but it's not the goal of what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I love that. I think it's really cool to have that hobby. Before we started streaming for you guys watching, Tommy and I were talking, and he's like, yeah, I got a full-time job. I just do this late at night. I'm busy. He's got a family, and I'm the same way. I have a full-time job, kids. So it's a lot of work, but I love doing this for you guys and hanging out. I think we all kind of nerd out about this.
I love doing it for me.
So yeah.
I just do it for me. Let everybody else watch,
Well, hey, you know what? Everyone else gets to benefit from your knowledge. So I think that's really cool.
So getting back to the rest. So it's $700 for the action panel.
Yeah.
I think everyone should have a 120D Mark II. I think that is a fantastic light.
Yes, I
Period.
have used it. I don't own one. Don't tell Aperture.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone over there. Yeah, I it's sad because I'm kind of in this weird boat of like I love Aperture stuff, but I haven't like taken the leap to just spend the money on some of the like the 120D, the 300D, the Nova, that sort of thing. But I've worked with them and had them on set, and they're really nice. I just haven't dropped the money on them yet.
The 300X is my favorite COB light.
Okay.
Um, it's bright enough. It's bicolor, excellent quality. The power ballast thing is super handy, very portable. You can attach it to the C stand. Both batteries just plug onto it really easy with their lightning
Yeah,
clamp.
that looks really cool. Running like
Such a solid
dual
light.
V mount batteries on there if you need to, like if you're out shooting with no power.
You can power with just one VMAT battery.
That's nice. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to play with that. So
That's $1,200 though.
really, the X. I was thinking that the
300X.
300D2 was about 1,200, but so the X is about the same price.
Yeah, I think the 300D2. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I know the prices fluctuate a little here and there, but
Yeah, it's 1,100. So the 300X is another $100.
okay, not bad, not bad. Yeah, I mean it looks pretty cool. So comparing them side by side, I guess the output I've seen like in some reviews is close. I mean obviously the X isn't quite as bright because you're splitting the COB with the different colors, temperatures there, but looks really nice for an all-around one. And I feel like you usually never need 100% brightness. Like it's not very often that you need 100% output out of your light. As long as you can get your light close enough, like we're seeing tonight with all your little pocket lights, as long as you can get it close enough to the subject, you don't need a crazy amount of output. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the aperture is actually only really low. It's at 13%.
Jeez.
I mean, if I turn it up, it's
bright.
It's pretty bright.
Yeah. Starting to blow out, on the top of your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really impressive. Very, very cool.
But if you can't afford the aperture light, then Godox, I would say my favorite Godox light currently. There's two. One would be if you need small portable stuff, the ML60. That thing is awesome.
Okay.
And then that's $280
Good price.
roughly.
Yeah.
After tax and shipping. And then if you wanted more power, the SL200 Mark II, because it has a fan button to turn it off. And if you have the fan on, it's super quiet anyways, and it's just a solid light. I like the SL200 Mark II better than I like the VL series, just because it's all self-contained.
Okay. It doesn't have
But
like
if
a
you need
separate
VMount,
ballast
then
or anything.
But if you need VMount power and stuff like that, then that's when you start to consider other options.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those are all really good suggestions. I love that. Coming at lights, what are your favorite ways to light? So do you like the COBs? And for those of you watching who don't know what that means, it basically means chip on board, or it's single point lighting. So the Aperture 120D single point lighting, it's a point source. So it's coming from one spot, whereas opposed with an LED light panel, you're usually having rows and rows and rows of tiny LEDs making up one, what looks like large LED. So what do you prefer to shoot with? Do you like mostly, lighting with LED panels, or more of like the single point lighting, like Fresnels and things like that, or tube lights? Obviously there's a whole bunch of different types. What do you prefer, and what do you think is a good place for people to start?
like panels with grids.
Panels with grids.
I think it takes up the least amount of space, like this way, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this huge like parabolic softbox, which I have my opinions on, and I have one. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it soon. It's the dumbest thing ever to have a parabolic softbox with the fusion in front of it, because you're defeating the purpose of the parabola.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because if you're just diffusing it, it's no longer all the light going in the same direction. It's just diffused. So anyways, I like panels with grids because grids are directional. You can take them on and off. You can have 180 degree light, or you can have like a 40 degree grid. There's other degrees of grids as well.
Yeah.
It's generally already soft. A lot of panels get super bright. Usually panels are VMount powerable, and they're just more self-contained. They're easier to work with.
Yeah.
They take less space. I don't know. I like panels.
Yeah.
So I have a huge RGB WW 1x1 panel coming up. I finally have all the light. Well, I have one more light on the way to the studio. That's the Rotolight Titan X1.
Hmm.
And that's the one that has the electronic diffusion in front of it.
Ooh, what's that? I
So
haven't seen
from
that.
from 0 to 100%, you can make the glass in front of the
Wow,
LEDs
like
go from completely
frosting.
transparent to frosted,
That's
opaque,
sick.
to 100% diffusion.
Yeah, straight up Iron Man stuff.
Yeah, crazy tech,
That's
super
sick.
expensive.
That's really cool. I have not seen that before on a light. I mean, obviously, I've seen that like in office spaces, or seen that obviously in movies and things like that. But the fact that they're using that in front of an LED light to diffuse it is really, really
So
cool.
essentially what it does is it changes the beam angle remotely of the panel.
Dang.
So, so that's really interesting. So that one will be here mid-December, and then after that one, I'll have the showdown in January, February, as soon as I can do it all, because those are a ton of work. But there's going to be the Aperture Nova, the Velvet Evo 1, the Rotolite Titan X1, Falconized DS811, Lupo's Super Panel Full Color 30, both the soft and the hard one. And then, of course, I had to throw in a little cheapo GVM RGB panel.
Mm-hmm.
So just try and get the full gamut and see, which ones win in which categories.
Yeah. No, those are all really good suggestions. I think that's pretty cool. You have a ton of knowledge, obviously, and all the different types of lights, backgrounds on them. Everyone keep an eye on Tommy's channel. He's, like I said, it sounds like he's got some really cool reviews coming out. And if you guys are enjoying this live stream right now, smash the like button, because, they say it helps the algorithm and stuff. And
I clicked like.
I clicked like. Can I click like? Yeah, so
You can.
I can. Like my own video. Yeah, so really cool stuff. I have to agree with you. I love the LED light panels as well. That's what I'm using right now, like I was saying earlier, to light me up with a softbox and a grid on it. Same with my hair light softbox with a grid. I just think it's the best way to control the light, keep it from spilling onto the walls or the ceiling and the floor, and just keep it really directional, but still soft. With single point source lighting, like a chip on board, any of those, like you said, it takes a lot more to diffuse it and shape that light. So I think it really depends on the type of project that you're doing. You may not always go grabbing for that, because it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do a lot more modifications to make this light work the way that I want it to. Because I mean, it's such a small, single point lighting that it's like, hey, for this to be big and soft, I got to put a huge softbox on this. Whereas, an LED light panel that's even a 1x1 already starts off relatively soft, especially if it's closer to your subject. So it is much easier to work with. I will say that one of my favorite all-time lights, something that I've been shooting with for years, is the ETC Source 4. So it's basically an ellipsoidal light. It still uses a tungsten light bulb, and it gets really, really bright. So it just has so many features built into it for shaping the light. You can flag it off. Basically, it has shutters inside of it to cut the light off of things. You can drop in gobos, so patterns. So if you want to put, blinds on the wall, or tree branches, or even a logo or whatever it is. I love how versatile that light is. Have you had any experience with the ET Source 4, or is that kind of
So the ETC Source 4, that's like a ellipsoidal lens projection type
exactly
thing?
Yeah, it's essentially a stage light. They're you'll see them all the time in live production. So if you go to a concert or a play or something like that, you'll probably see 50 to 100 of them mounted above head at a live auditorium or something like that. But they're
I've played with the Aperture Spotlight,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Godox's version of the Spotlight, and they're very
I
similar.
saw that one at NAB and I was less than impressed. It was kind of a funky
It's
add-on.
so heavy.
Yeah.
It's super heavy.
Yeah.
Very useful. I mean, if you need to get your key light onto the ceiling and there's nowhere else to put it, you just put the spotlight in front of it, and then
Yeah.
use it as a way to cast your light further away, or there's different ways to use them.
Yeah.
I prefer the smaller form factor spotlight type things for like using as a rim light or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's generally how I use them, but
Yeah, I definitely get that.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so the Aperture, it was interesting seeing that at NAB, their little spotlight connection that just clips onto the front of the 300D or the 120D. It makes the light twice the size once you add that. I will say the advantage of the ET Source 4 if you ever decide to pick one up or check one out, is that it's all built in. You don't actually put the like that lens attachment on the front of a whole nother light. So instead of it being like yay long, it's just normal length. So I will say that it's more built in. So I really like that. But they're really cool lights. When I did,
Are they LED?
They make an LED version, but they're freaking expensive. So you can pick up the tungsten versions, usually used pretty cheap on either eBay or just like local, like look up your Facebook or Craigslist, because like local like stages and things like that are offloading them all the time as they're upgrading their lights or whatever it is. You can usually pick them up for about $50 to $100, and they're incredibly versatile. They get insanely hot though, so you got to wear gloves if you're going to like play with the fixture.
That's why I hate those kind of lights.
Yeah.
Is they're fire hazards.
Yeah, they definitely can be. You just got to watch them, keep them away from, don't put diffusion right on top of them, or be careful with what you're putting them next to. But you can do some pretty cool stuff with them, and for a pretty good price. The LED versions of them, they actually make a full RGB version. Incredible. We have them again at the studio that I'm at. They have all the freaking nice lights there. We got about like 5 or 6 of them, but they're I think about $3,000 a piece, so they're not cheap. But full RGB, just incredibly versatile lights that UT source for LED versions. So I really like those. I'd have to say that's probably my favorite light. I know that might be a bit of a surprise to some people watching, but I'd say that if I could buy it in the LED version, that would be my favorite, like all around, like tool in my tool belt light, and then just like a basic LED light panel, like a 1x1 or a 2x1. Those would be my top favorites. I don't know. What are your what's your top favorite light? Like if you had to pick one, you're like, hey, I got to clear out the studio. Your wife's like, get rid of everything. I hate it all. It's all got to go. Get it out of my house now. What are you going to grab? What are you going to save?
I'm going to grab a studio so I can keep all my stuff.
I'm going to grab a studio. That's a smart plan. Let's say the house is burning down. You got the kid. You got the dog. What light are you going to grab? I know.
Probably the Velvet Evo 1.
The Velvet Evo 1. I haven't heard you talk about that one.
Velvet Evo 1. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so it's a light. Duh.
It's a light.
It's an RGB WW panel, and it's dust and rainproof, completely silent. V-mount power, AC power, has a wireless mobile app. It's got everything.
Okay.
And the only downside is it's like, if after you get the power accessory and the carrying bag, it's like $4,500.
Yeah, that's pretty expensive. That's a nice light. And I think I would say that too. It's probably one of your most expensive lights. So, geez.
It's one of them. It's up there.
Yeah, I would say so.
But it's the only light that I can just put in the rain, and use.
That's cool. Fully waterproof or water resistant.
Well, it's rainproof.
Rainproof. Okay, rainproof. Well,
it's IP.
Rain is water.
What is it? IP 54, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I did a video. I don't know what the IP rating is, but I did the video in I think I released it January 1st of this year.
Okay.
And then it's interesting because the Rotolight gets here, the Titan X1 gets here, and then I'll probably be publishing that video like most likely like January 1st or right around there. So like new year, new light.
Yeah. 1 year later, here's the next rainproof light.
But it's not rainproof.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. It's the Velvet is still the only one that's rainproof.
Okay. Well, there you go. I know it's been funny to me to see some of these companies come out with like waterproof lights. I know Aperture's got one. Who else is coming out with one? Is it DF Digital Photo? There's a couple just like small like companies in China too. Like they're offering now waterproof lights. I'm like, that's cool, but I don't really shoot underwater in pools or lakes very frequently.
It's meant for like inclement weather, or like if you're gonna go, like snow, dust, different things to watch out for.
Yeah. I guess if I was like a documentary filmmaker and I was like, man, hitting up some really intense environments, it would be on my
list. Or just
list of things.
News crews.
That's true.
Like news crews, they got to be outside. You got to have to deal with rain.
That's true. Yeah, I live in Arizona where it rains never, and you're in LA where it doesn't rain probably just as much either, right? So
ironically, we had like a 3-year dry spell or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. We haven't seen rain forever. And then when the Velvet got here for the review, we had like a week and a half of rain straight. And so I was able to film it in the rain for an
No
hour, and like,
way.
yeah, it worked out perfectly.
That's serendipitous. That's freaking hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I mean, we get like 2 inches of rain here in a year, so it just never rains. So the waterproof part, that's pretty cool. Maybe if I was in Seattle or something, it'd be super super useful. That's funny. All right, well, let's see. Take a look at the comments here. Glenn Reed says the Klar Illumi Max 300 high power 5600 Kelvin LED light, $400 and uses V mount. Klar is Adorama's Aperture knockoff. Have you heard of that one before, Tommy? I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
The Klar.
I reviewed one that was the brand before it was bought by Adorama and renamed to Klar.
Okay.
I don't
Is this
like
like
it.
a store brand or something? I know B&H does that. They'll do like a
Kind
B&H
of.
store
Yeah,
brand.
that's basically what it is.
Amazon Basics.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's a light.
Yeah. It's a light. I mean, lights.
But
Lights
it
people
lights,
up.
it turns on, it lights.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like it.
Yeah.
The interface is like it's lacking.
Yeah.
It feels like parts of it feel cheap.
Yeah. I feel that. It's funny how like as you work with like nicer and nicer lights, the interface starts to become important to you. I remember on my first like couple lights, it was like click it on the end, you know, and then bicolor started to get more affordable and popular. And it was like, oh, well, I want to see like, you know, where is my Kelvin temperature at? And then, you know, obviously dimming and everything like that, like as LED became popular and like, you're like, where's my brightness? I like, sometimes it's just like a scale, you know, they're like it's a little dot to bigger to bigger to bigger dot. You're like, no, I want to know the percentage. Where am I at in brightness? 15, 20, 50. And it's funny, like some people may think, well, that's not super useful. Why do you care? But I'll say that when you're on set and let's say you take a break or you come back the next day, you want to know and you write these things down, you take a note. This light was exactly at 55% brightness. This one was at 10, et cetera, et cetera. So it's actually really important to know those things as opposed to just like, I think the dial was somewhere between this tick and that tick, you know, or I think the Kelvin temperature was around this dot. I hate it when it's like warm, like blue to orange and like that's all they give you. And you're like, bruh. Like I have no clue where my Kelvin temperature is. I don't know what's your thoughts on that.
That's the reason I like the Lupo lights.
Yeah.
It's their interface, right? It's just you dial it in. There's 3 dials. It's the same on their Super Pro versions and the little versions.
Yeah.
It's just the interface is super simple.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
I love that. I think it's definitely something to look out for everyone watching. That's something to keep an eye on. If you look at the pictures of the light and it doesn't look like there's a lot going on the back of it, it's really affordable. Just think that sometimes it may hinder what you're able to do as well. Because
just watch the reviews. Look up reviews on YouTube.
Valid.
That's what I do.
Yeah, Tommy's probably got a review on it already, or it's coming out.
I do.
So for reals.
So we talked about lights a lot.
Yeah.
In the past hour.
Yes.
What's your next? What camera are you on, and what's your next camera?
Oh my gosh. So like I said, right now, just for the live stream, I'm using the Sony a6500 because it has the best autofocus of any camera that I have.
Okay.
That's why I use it. Great autofocus camera. And then for like when I'm shooting like things that are supposed to be more of like commercials or more like cinematic per se, I'm reaching for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K or my Fujifilm X-T4, which I got right here. And I love this little guy. I mean, did you say earlier you were on the X-T3? One of your cams was an X-T3, I thought I heard you say.
Yeah, the one that is here, this angle right here.
Yeah.
This is the X-T3.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I really love this camera. I think for the price with the X-T3 or the X-T4, you're seriously getting such a good package because it's really good with photography and it's really good with video. And that little dial just flip back and forth between still and movie is like just, oh, it's incredible. And the dynamic range is good. When I do use the Ninja V a lot. I'm a kind of guy that's like, I'm going to shoot this in ProRes, 422, 10-bit, just because I do like getting like the full colors and resolution, dynamic range out of it that I can. And so this hooks up to that and I get 60 frames per second, 422, ProRes, 4K, you know, all the goodies. And it's a pretty good price. So I've been really liking that. But that's where I'm at right now with cameras. Man, I've had my eye on the Sony a7S III. Obviously, you know, you're shooting on that now. I will be doing a review of it, but it's just like one that a company's sending me to check out, and then I got to send back. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's really good. That's impressive. So that's what's funny is autofocus is really important when you're shooting yourself or maybe shooting on a gimbal or doing
a slider
or a slider. Heck yeah, you got to have it on a slider like you're doing here with the parallax. Otherwise, if you're doing a lot of stuff where you're just, talking head, commercial work, and you can be physically behind the camera the whole time, you don't have to have it. I'd say that like 85% of the time I'm doing manual focus when I'm out shooting. Probably more than that. But when I'm at like in a studio situation like this where I have to film myself, I have to have autofocus. And when I'm on a gimbal, I really do prefer autofocus. So yeah, I mean,
that's the only reason I ordered the red Komodo.
Yeah, freak.
Autofocus, bro.
So I really want to see some tests on that. I've seen a couple guys run through the autofocus on it, but I don't know. It didn't seem super like it doesn't. It's obviously not as good as A7S III or the Canons. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you feel like it's gonna outperform your expectations? I know. When is it coming? I know. I like the owner of Red. What's his name? Not Mike. What is it? Anyways,
Jared.
Yes, Jared. He's saying, "Hey, sorry, they're all in back order. Blah blah blah." When's yours getting here? Any idea?
Early to mid-December was last I heard.
Early to mid-December. That's not bad. So it might be just a couple weeks out.
Yeah. So I have thoughts on it. I want to see how far can you push the dynamic range. And I'm going to try and create some scenarios where the camera that is simply better for the shot is the A7S III, or the camera that's better for the shot is an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the red Komodo isn't the answer to all of our problems.
No.
It's just because it's an expensive red camera, right?
It's definitely not.
It's actually going to cause problems in some scenarios.
Yep.
I have the Laowa probe lens on the way as well with an adapter, so I can use it with both the red and the Sony.
That'll be fun.
It's because I'm going to try and properly expose a scene, like, at the smallest aperture I can get to, which it goes to f/40.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like 40 or 50 on that one.
Yeah, and so I have a ton of lights. We'll see if I'm even, what the limit is, but because the Sony has incredibly high ISO performance, it's going to clearly capture better images for that type of scenario.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. The red, so I've shot on red a few times, and what I will say, not the red Komodo, but just like it was a weapon, the dragon. This basically, I will say is that the ISO performance on it is underwhelming. Like when you're out in dark scenarios, you're like, yikes, like this does not look good. With proper lighting and like natural daylight, that sort of thing, it shines. It looks incredible, but the ISO performance is weak. I know that they've improved it on the Komodo quite a bit, but it's still not really a low light camera. I mean, not compared to the A7S III. Like that.
Well, that's why. So the red sensor on the Komodo, it's a global shutter,
yes.
which is the real reason why I decided to finally take the plunge, because when it comes to lighting, right, when you have a global shutter, instead of getting banding with lights, you should get the image should be flickering, sort of.
Interesting.
Because rolling shutter causes more banding. So with DaVinci Resolve, there is a deflicker filter.
Interesting.
And so that would be easier to correct an image, in my opinion. I mean, this is all just stuff that I'm thinking. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
But that being said, the global shutter is still interesting, for like the difference in rolling shutter effects.
Yeah.
And also, Red developed a new sensor for the Komodo that has better dynamic range than, that's why they stuck with not global shutter for so long, is because usually dynamic range was hindered. But I guess this one has global shutter and excellent dynamic range, which is why it's so like revolutionary.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they've kind of rewritten the playbook on a lot of things with this camera. I mean, they tried to get more into like the prosumer market or consumer market with the Red Raven, but that was still expensive.
That was a failure.
Yeah. Failure. It's already been discontinued.
That was like $15,000, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was if you had it pretty kitted out, it was around that range, which was like affordable for a Red. But yeah, no. I mean, I think the Red Komodo is going to be insanely popular, especially with indie filmmakers, as long as it performs as well as they're saying. I know most users right now are beta users. Like people are just starting to get the real thing. Almost everyone's been a beta user. So I'm really interested to see how it pans out. If it pans out great, like I think that's going to be one of the most popular indie filmmaking cameras on the market.
I'm just going to live stream with it at 720p.
Yeah. Just the worst resolution you possibly
Mad
can.
flex.
Yeah.
Just have it in the background of all my videos, filming like my shoulder or something.
Yeah. Well, I love how like MKBHD has like a bunch of reds. He uses them for everything, like the lowest of low jobs to the nicest. It's like, hey, if you got the money, do it. So,
Well, I mean, there's shots where what's the better camera for like filming under, a pool, right? Probably an iPhone.
yeah, an iPhone or a GoPro or something, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool, man. I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff you come out with the Komodo, and
Me too.
I'll be watching all of that. So,
Thanks.
man, I got to get my hands on one eventually. I don't think I quite have $6,000 in gear sitting around to sell, or that kind of money to
Yeah,
spend yet. But
that's a whole different topic and things to talk about is as a tech reviewer,
yeah,
reviewing expensive lights.
yes,
You don't get a lot of affiliate revenue for the videos you do on those expensive lights. People don't click the affiliate links to buy expensive lights. They call their buyer or they go to a rental house.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then that person goes and buys them. You don't get like what you get for reviewing an expensive light like that is the expensive light
yes,
itself because nobody's looking for reviews on expensive lights. Like that doesn't even get viewership. People aren't Googling Lupo Super Panel Full Color 60. They aren't Googling Velvet Evo 1. Like they don't even know what it is.
no,
So when you create a review on that type of light, when someone is already considering buying that light and they search for it, then they'll find you. And then you'll have another subscriber who's interested in professional lighting, and there's like 12 of them.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, pretty much.
It's so I've reviewed lighting for so long that I didn't have any more space in my studio at all. And I was tripping over stuff and I couldn't produce any more videos until I actually cleared out space because I'm not going to, just have all the stuff in my studio leak out and, all over my house and everything. Like this is a hobby. It should stay in one room.
Yeah,
So I finally sold a bunch of lights, made 15 grand and
jeez,
bought a bunch of cameras.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I bought all the cameras and things that I've like been wanting, but like always never said I don't need them. But then I finally had a budget, and so it's like, hey, let's make the fun content.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and you already had all the nice lights you needed. You got rid of the ones
Plus,
you
I already
didn't.
had all of the lights.
Yep.
It just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And I think that's something that people should, take to heart is you had the lights you needed. You already had all that you needed. And then you're like, you know what? I guess I could upgrade the camera. And I think that would be what I would do is as long as you have the right lights and equipment, maybe then the next thing to do, maybe to get the next level camera, to get the better dynamic range, colors, autofocus, whatever it is you're looking for. And that's going to improve your image even that much more. But it's not going to help poor lighting in any way. So
Yeah. And plus, I only sold the lights that I was completely done with and haven't touched in a year, or didn't have any future plans for.
yeah,
I still have all the good lights, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I kept the ones that I like.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you have so many. It's I'm sure still left over. So that's crazy. Well, super excited for you on that. Yeah, so obviously we could get into a couple more topics, but I want to be respectful of your time. We didn't talk about this before, and I know we got a couple guys on the stream still. How much time do you got left, Tommy? I don't want to keep you on all night.
No one's calling for me.
No one's calling for you. Okay, well, we'll keep going for a little bit longer. We're about to hit 1 hour. So if you guys are watching the stream right now, smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Why are you even watching this if you're not subscribed to both of our channels? Be sure to subscribe to Tommy and myself right now. I would love to dive into a couple more things. So how, do you do a lot of work with your lighting with lighting modifiers? So obviously we talked about the grid. I could see it on the Nova behind you there. Do you use anything else like flags, scrims, reflectors, that kind of stuff?
I use a Fresnel attachment on one of the Aperture 120Ds with the little barn doors.
Yes. Okay.
Super useful. I really like it a lot. Let's see. I have one of the soft boxes that I'm probably going to get rid of and just put a panel up there with a grid.
Okay. Yeah. Like one of the lighting domes or whatever is lighting dome 2 or something.
Yeah.
Like
for my main light up here. And actually when I have a light that I need to rig overhead, I usually use the canvas style lights.
Like the ones that roll out, like the matte
mats.
ones. Yes.
Yeah, so right up here, it's not turned on right now, but it's one from IntelliTech.
It better
it's,
not be on. You said you're only using pocket lights.
Yeah, I am. only pocket lights. But up here, it's an IntelliTech 120 LC. It's a 3x1 panel.
Okay.
It comes with its own little soft box and a grid.
That's cool.
And it lights up really nicely over here.
That's
And
super
then,
cool. I've seen a lot of good stuff on those, like the flex mat ones. I know Falcon Eyes has a bunch of them as
yep, the
well.
other one's the Falcon Eyes. It's up here. You can't see it, but that one's also. So anytime I have to have a light directly over my head,
Mm-hmm.
I like to use the canvas style lights because they're the safest
Yeah.
and they're the least likely to just fall.
Yeah.
And if they do fall, then it's not going to hurt.
Yeah. It's like floppy cloth.
Yeah, and all the power controls are usually like within reach.
That's nice. That's really nice. Very impressive. So I would say I do a lot of like I do a lot of like commercial work and like advertisements and social media advertisements and things for clients. And so when we're on set, we do a lot of like light modifications. So I would say like the biggest things that I bring on set typically, and the cheapest one would be a 5-in-1 reflector. Obviously,
Oh yeah,
everyone's got one. I mean, at one point, used it somewhere. I know they're really popular with photography because people like to reflect the light back into people's faces. But for me, some of my favorite uses isn't actually always reflecting light back into people's faces, but you can unzip it, take off the cover, and then there's always that diffusion in the middle. So I'll use that if I don't have a softbox or whatever the light is, and I'll just put it on a stand or something and just put it, a foot or two or whatever it is, a couple feet in front of the light to just get a big diffused, almost 4-foot light source or whatever it is.
my favorite version of that is actually sold by Intelitech. Also, it's the fast frame.
Okay. And fast frame. Is it a square? Is it a 4x4 or what is it?
So it folds up into like just a little tube style case, right? So you can
Okay.
like really really small form factor, like the size of a light stand, right?
Yeah.
But then you could basically it folds out with this really weird geometry, and it like turns into a 4x6 scrim, and it has the grid already attached.
Oh wow.
So it's a grid and diffusion. You can have the grid attached or not.
Yeah.
They also have versions that are reflectors, but it deploys in just a second and tears down in just a second.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Drop that down in the chat, man. I'm gonna.
That's $300.
$300. Not bad. Drop it down in the chat. I'll check that one out afterwards. That sounds really cool. Really cool lighting modifier there. So I know other stuff that I use commonly for myself, just to give people a little more knowledge on the modifiers as well. Use basic flags. Matthews is just basically a black cloth, and it absorbs the light, cuts the light, whatever it is. If you're trying to keep it off of a wall or a person or something, use those frequently. Large, just 4x4 silks. Same thing, you can get them from Matthews and a lot of other companies.
I like cinefoil.
Cinefoil is great. I love cinefoil.
Yes. It's for anyone watching that doesn't know, it's like a tin foil, but it's like a matte black.
Yes, matte black, everything.
And you basically use it to modify your light, and it's cheap and it works really well.
Yeah,
it's reusable.
Yeah, it's so useful. It's funny because cinefoil, like, just besides like cutting light or whatever it is and trying to keep it from spilling,
I've got to roll.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, so I'll use it all the time to actually wrap around a lens if I need to. Like, let's say I forgot a lens hood, or even the lens hood isn't working, or I don't have a matte box on. I'll just take some of that cinefoil, put it into kind of like a cylinder shape around the outside of the lens, and it just creates a nice little lens hood. Yep.
Yep. It's just like tin foil, but it's like black and matte.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I mean, you'll only find it pretty much online or like at some random photo video store. Not going to find it anywhere else. I love that stuff. Good lighting modifier to have on hand. Awesome. Let's see. So Nils Codes, he says, how many lux if you turn them all on, Tommy?
Oh, all of the lights in my studio? I don't know. Everyone that's watching this stream would probably go blind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just some of them you've turned way up. I'm like, okay, yep, that gets bright. So do you like to use any sort of light meters? Do you have any light meters? What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I use the Sekonic C800.
Okay.
Just like everyone else on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, the Sekonic's like kind of a classic.
I used to use the UPR-Tech CV600. I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Just I went with the Sekonic.
Yeah.
I thought that the UPR-Tech was giving false readings, but I compared it against the Sekonic and the readings were the same. So it just kind of worked out. And I sold it. I had 2 light meters and so I sold it.
Yeah,
I didn't need it.
Need two. Not really. So does that, obviously Sakonic's really popular. Does it read color temperature as well, or does it just read output, or is it both? I know sometimes you have to have two different readers for that.
Yeah, I can show you real quick.
Yeah, grab it if you
Why not?
got it. Go for it. Paul Feinberg, what's up? He says, love the Falcon Eyes stuff, and IntelliTech is great. Yeah, I have to agree. Falcon Eyes has really good stuff. Use a lot of different lights from them. Paul also says, huge square looks great. Saw it on Tommy's channel. I'm not sure what the huge square is that he's
talking about the fast frame.
Oh, the huge square. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Nils Code says, makes for good cookies too.
That's the cinefoil. You can use it to make cookies.
Oh, okay.
Cookie sheets.
Yeah, over my head on that second.
So a cookie is like if you cut like a bunch of circles or designs and then put it in front of a light, so you can cast like a design onto the background.
Yes. Okay. Got
like leaves or whatever.
I see what he's saying now. Cucaloris. I got you. Cookies. Cucaloris.
Nobody calls it a cucaloris.
It's a cucaloris, eh? I'm like, what's a cucaloris? Where did that name come from? And like, where does it stem? It's
from
so
a French guy. His name's Cucaloris.
No.
I made that up.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sounds right.
All right, so this is the meter. Here, let's see if you can. Don't focus on my face anymore.
Focus A7S3. Do your job. Okay.
Wait.
Well.
Well, it is pretty dark.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like it's got a box around my face, even though.
Oh, there you go. There just focus on the numbers. Oh, it's gone.
Well, it's on my face again. It's like face.
It's all good.
All right, here. Let's just measure something. Let's measure this. Here. Darn it. There we go. Now, here, because it's going to focus on my face, right?
There you go. Nice. Okay.
So this
Beautiful.
is how it works.
Color temperature, what, 5200, 5270?
Yeah, we got color temperature, lux, TLCI, hue, SSI, and then you can go get some graphs. You can also change all of the numbers that show up there.
That's really
look
cool.
At the spectrum, all that kind of stuff.
Which model of Sakonic is that again? You said Sakonic. Which one?
This is the C800. So these are all the things that you could use with it. Foot candles, RF, RG, SSI tungsten, SSI daylight, hue, saturation, XY coordinates.
Dang.
You can pick all the stuff.
Yeah, that's
EM30.
That's
here's
really
the
nice
SSI
stuff.
graphs.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I like that. There's a little peak in the blue, and that's really cool. So it looks really, really intuitive. And I'm just looking up the price here because I've seen all different Sakonic ones, but the C800 looks like it's about $1,600.
Yep.
So it's a good investment. Definitely not cheap. But I mean, I know with light meters, typically people buy them and keep them their whole career. So it's like, hey, as long as it's still working, I'm going to use it for a decade or whatever. So
yeah, I feel like these days, I mean, if you're reviewing lights on YouTube, you probably need one. I talked to Sakonic, and the majority of their market and sales is YouTubers that review lights
Really?
and companies that make lights.
that's funny. That's interesting.
That's the majority of the people that they sell them to because, I mean, I guess maybe some really high-end gaffers that need the exact, Kelvin will get them.
Yeah.
But I mean, these days you can just dial in the color temperature and high-quality light, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Yep. You dial it in and it's pretty accurate. I know obviously when people were working more with tungstens and HMIs and gelling things and that sort of deal, they had to really use light meters to figure out what it was. But yeah, if you're using the higher end stuff, like we've been talking about, and sky panels, you dial it in and like you said, it's accurate. So you don't have to put a light meter up to see exactly what it is. That's really cool. Yeah. I need to the one that I've used more so is honestly, it's just the one that you plug into your iPhone, the Lumu. It's really cheap and it's like $200-$300. Just plug it into your phone. It's a light meter, color temperature reader, Lumu. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to invest in one of the nicer Sakonic ones. That thing looks really, really cool. I love all the features I'm seeing on that little chart and everything.
It's handy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, very cool.
Especially if you're reviewing a light and you want to have the facts.
Yeah. And I think
that's what you use.
I think I might have to get my hands on something like that. So it's really cool. Yeah, very cool. So let's see. Neil's Code says So funny to do it all the time. Hide my face to make the camera focus on something I'm holding into the lens. Seems to be harder on the A7S III.
Yeah, all you got to do is this, right? Is it working?
No. Nope, not yet. That's funny. So very cool stuff. Well, I want to kind of wrap up here shortly. We've been going on for about an hour 20. I want to say thanks to everyone watching. We've got a couple more minutes on the stream. Again, subscribe to both our channels. There's always really cool stuff coming out. So kind of some final things here that I would like to say. What are just some basic common lighting mistakes that you see guys making on YouTube or when they're making something or whatever? What's something you see people do a lot of and you're just like, why would you do that?
Cheap RGB LED strips. They cause flicker and banding in the backgrounds. Super irritating, and I hate it.
Yeah. So would cheap be the Hughes ones? I know those are the most expensive, or cheaper than that, just the weird knockoff Amazon brands.
Generally, it's any LED strip that plugs into a USB outlet.
Okay.
That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
And you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're watching the video, you can see the flicker. It's like, why haven't they got rid of it yet? Like they saw it last time.
Yeah, and they've got it strung around like a shelf or something or whatever. It's kind of like a set dressing. But it's
I know. I used to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I learned.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So that's really annoying.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I would say for me, basic common lighting mistakes that I see a lot of the times are really, really flat lighting. No dynamic to it at all.
No depth.
Yeah, exactly. No depth and no shadow. A lot of times I'll see guys put lights on their camera rigs. My channel, I'm sure you've seen it, is a lot of rigging stuff. I show you how to build out cameras and things like that because it's just fun for me to do. But a lot of guys will put a light right on their camera, right on top, and be like, yeah, I can light them up. I'm like, why? Why would you light someone?
Does it look like this light is floating?
It does. It does kind of look like it's just floating in space. I like that. That's the one on the C-stand, right? Just kind of floating out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 on the C-stand. The magnets are super useful because it's a pocket light, and a lot of pocket lights with magnets. So useful.
Hey, I'll never diss a pocket light again. I promise. Okay.
There are some pocket lights that really suck. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I imagine that people have sent you some or that you've seen, and they'll be like, hey, review this. And you're like, wow, not good. Yeah. So I will say though, that's one funny thing I see people do is they'll put a light right on top of their camera, point it right at their subject, and it looks like their subject's getting hit with the flashlight. So lighting 101, don't light your subject directly from the front. It looks like a giant flashlight on their face. It's best to at least get it off to a 45-degree angle, give it more of that Rembrandt lighting. Obviously, you can see both of our lighting. We're not super, super well lit. I mean, there's a lot of good shadow. It helps shapes our face, give us a little bit more depth. So I mean, we're well lit, but not well lit, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. So that's
my stream. That's Wednesday, getting lit.
Oh yeah, getting lit. Yes, it is. I love that name. Let's get lit. So very cool. Just checking out a couple of the last comments here before we sign this thing off. It's been a ton of fun just chatting this stuff. It's just that I don't know how much your wife or friends know about this stuff locally, but it's like, no one understands it until you talk to someone that's really in depth into it. And it's like, okay, you get me. You know what I'm talking about here. So I really appreciate it. Merlin Christensen, he says, are you reading chat? Yeah, we are reading the chat. What's up, man? See what else is going on here.
They're getting mad at my slider, so I had to do one of those.
Doing some crazy stuff. Neil's Code says you could build a halo if you put a ring light on your C-stand. Yeah, I could see something like that. All those little pocket lights, you could build out some weird halo thing. Let's see. It's slightly distracting when it's more than one person on stream. Hey, well, yeah, we got 2 of us today. Just keep it going. Get a little more.
You know what? If you had a slider also, it would be less distracting and more awesome.
There we go. So we need 2 sliders just constantly moving so we both look epic. I'll try that for the next one. Paul Feinberg says he loves a good 45-degree angle. I agree. It's a great place to put the light. Good place to start. Merlin says, don't leave. I just got here. I need to know more about lighting. Merlin, go back and watch the live stream. Once this is over, we've got an hour and 15 minutes already of great content packed into this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this if you have been enjoying it. Be sure you're subscribed to Tommy Callaway. Tommy, where can everyone find you online besides YouTube? What are your handles and things? Where can we find you?
Let's see. You can find me on Twitter at TG Callaway. Same with Instagram at TG Callaway.
Awesome. Guys, go
Yeah.
be sure to follow him. He's got really cool stuff. Lighting is incredible. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, Tommy. It is always a pleasure seeing your work and chatting with you. So had a good time. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great night, everyone. We will catch you in the next live stream, and have a good week. Thanksgiving's coming up. Enjoy time with your family or whatever you do. If you're not in America, happy week coming up. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Adios.
Bye.